Well, what do you know? Been about 3 months. Thought I'd bounce back and forth and switch things up here rather than continuing to do the same thing indefinitely. We'll see what happens, but found myself through organizing, and I filmed some video of this, but the sound was horrible, and the images that I took were awful as well, so I just scrapped it. But I explained all that. I'll figure out a way to film it better and show you guys what I've been doing organization-wise. But in doing so, I found myself able to access certain things that were previously inaccessible due to the configuration of tables and playing surfaces, etc. So drug out this old school tactical board on a whim. I think this is Ghost Front, not sure. And one thing led to another. I thought, well, I wonder if I have enough houses, and I started doing the houses, and lo and behold, I had enough of those, which are from the Perry Miniatures Travel Battles series. This is my hand for scale. And I had to supplement a little with some Monopoly houses. These tiny brown ones are actually from Monopoly games. Which, by the way, if you guys are looking for cheap housing, kit bashing Monopoly games is the way to go. You can get those things cheap, dirt cheap at yard sales, garage sales, etc. And then I thought, well, I wonder if I have enough of this certain color clump foliage here, kind of a lighter green, not quite so dark, and just had enough for that. And I stood back and looked at it and thought, wow, this is impressive. And it had been a while, but for the first time in a while, I got that feeling again of whatever happens when I see terrain like this. Not to mention that it has this winter map board background, which I'm a sucker for. So then I thought, well, maybe these Perry miniatures will fit in a hex, and lo and behold, 2 stands of infantry fit in a hex. And considered how to do this. Perhaps roll or do chit draw for random entrance, because we have a number of roads, which we don't typically have in the games that I play, at least Napoleonic speaking. Commands and Colors does not incorporate roads. But, yeah, so I thought, well, I could have random entrance and decide which roads various armies are entering onto, and then just let it sit and simmer for a couple days. And then I thought, no, we'll start with everything on map. So here's what we have. Consider this a kind of historical fiction. Think ILO, but not exactly. We've got our town here. It's winter. We've got the Russians. Seemingly having just moved into the town, haven't been there long, and are anticipating the French, correctly so, moving in, and that's what we have here. Nobody is set up for any defensive or not necessarily even offensive posture. If we had to assume, we would say the Russians are probably geared towards a defensive bent in order to accept the oncoming French, who are obviously in an offensive position. And yeah, so to kick it off, it looks like there's going to be quite a bit of maneuvering on both sides, because again, nobody's really established any lines, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So again, we still have, let me get a measuring stick. What do we have here? We have an army here, an infantry army here, here, and the fourth one over here, I believe. Yeah, these are guards, so these are elite guys here. And that brings me to the question you probably already asked. How do you differentiate between unit types? Well, there's not a whole lot of differentiation going on. We've got basic infantry here, as already mentioned, elite guard units here. I'm calling this, should I call it foot artillery or horse artillery? Let's call it foot artillery. And then the horses with their tails, this sounds funny, but this is actually how they're molded and why they were molded this way. These horses with their tails sticking out and looking like they're at a gallop, that's light cavalry. And then the horses that look like they're at a standstill, that's heavy cavalry. It works. I'm okay with it. We've got a leader here, actually a leader with each army, and a leader with each cavalry group. And then over here for the French, we've got 1, 2, 3, and then for the French, we've got our elite guard units entering the map board here, with heavy cavalry and light cavalry trucking down the center, which is probably weird to see. I feel like maybe the cavalry should be on either flank, which is sort of how the Russians have it, but no, I'm going to go with that. For whatever reason, the cavalry ended up in the center, whether that was intended or not. This is how it played out thus far. Command cards, since this is a custom setup scenario, I overlooked the typical Russian and French ratio. And then if you look at, there's, I think, 3 ILO scenarios in the Russian expansion. It's usually, most often, 6 French cards and 5 cards for the Russians. So I think that's how we'll play it. And I have divided the board into huge sections. It's still left, center, and right. You'll see a arrow here, an arrow here, and then for the Russian side we have an arrow here, and an arrow here. And then I probably should have already mentioned this, but the awful sound, which is static in the background, is actually the sounds of winter. Wind blowing through the trees, snow whipping around. I haven't tried this yet. I'll probably get a lot of hates on this because it may sound a bit annoying, or as might be interfering. Well, but I tested it a number of times to get the volume, so it's still audible yet not annoying. Hopefully I've managed to do that successfully. I've even messed with the microphone to get things better, because as mentioned we were having an issue with that. Microphone is right in front of my face. The gain, I believe, is turned all the way down, and the particular setting we need for speaking directly into it is established. So, who goes first? The French go first, because they're the French. Been about 3 months since I've done anything like this. I took a long break. Then I started some dungeon crawl stuff, which haven't quite worked out of my system, but again, I kind of accidentally found myself setting this up and decided to roll with it. So here we go for the French, and it may take a second to establish contact as we have quite a bit of area or ground to cover here, and we are still using the normal movement rates and ranges that would be used in the Commands and Colors base game. So what we have choice-wise for the French to begin is an assault right flank, a probe right flank, a coordinated advance, which is probably my favorite card. Forward's not bad either, and on second thought, I think I will use a forward advance. What will that allow us to do? That will allow us to activate 2 units in each section. Now, another caveat, there will be no, other than what I've already done, no custom rules here. This is just going to be straight Commands and Colors goodness. So 2 units, we'll go ahead and go. See, I don't even remember how far they moved. That's how long it's been. Movement. 1 in battle, 2 in not battle. Huh. Well, we're going to say, since we have so much ground to cover, here I go making up rules already. But this has to be done, or we're just going to bore ourselves to death. If they use the roads, these line units can move 2, whereas it would typically be 1. But once we get off-roading and within a certain range, we'll go back to what it's supposed to be. So 2 on the left, we'll go 1, 2, 1, 2. 2 in the center, that's going to be, let's go with light cavalry is 3, if I remember correctly. Movement, yeah. 1 to 3. Let's move our light cavalry up. 1, 2, 3 right here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. That was the center, and that was 4 units. Why did I move 4? That would be like this. I cheated. Alright, and then on the right we've got our guard units. 1, 2, and 1, 2. That brings us to draw a new card. That brings us to the Russians. Now I may start pausing and doing this off camera so to speed things up for you guys. Probe center, that's just 2. What is our center? That's going to be, luckily these hexes are numbered, so between 9 and 18 is our center. So right about here we'll move these guys up, and shouldn't need to draw a new card. Yep, draw another card for him. And there. So I am going to pause, lest I bore the hell out of you guys, until we get into some decent proximity here. Alright, well, as my hunch was correct, I'm glad I did all of that off camera, because you guys would have been dropping like flies. That took so long. In fact, I went through the entire deck just maneuvering, and this is what we're left with. The French, let's start with them. The left and the right are fairly equal. Yeah, about equal in their progression. I would say the right received a bit more attention because they have, remember, 2 armies. Well, they have 2 armies as well. Actually, somebody should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, each one has 2 armies. So yeah, about equal. Anyway, the center a little less so, but that is intentional. And I have to remember to bring up these tail gunners, these cabooses that are lagging behind. The Russians have done excellent, actually. They moved up about as much as they needed to. You could argue hanging back in the town defensively would be an option, but I would argue it's not, because that allows the French to take the other half of the town, and then what? You're going to wait for the French to, I mean, they've already taken half the town. To push them out would not be an option, because then they have as good a defense as you. So Russians were pretty much forced to move up and prevent the French from taking any of the town, and in doing so have formed a nice kind of defensive line here with the Russian right flank, center, and left flank. So maneuvering went fairly well for the Russians. We do have some stragglers back here, a couple infantry units there, and that's more like my fault than anything, the lagging artillery lagging behind there. But otherwise, looks pretty good. Let's see how much. We're about 14 minutes in. I'll run through some more of this, but I think my intention is that once the fighting really starts to get going, this may sound weird, but you have to remember, I have actually been at this a while because I did a lot of this off camera. But I think I want to do a lot of the sweet stuff live, just so you guys can rifle off comments and etc. I don't. It's more enjoyable for me, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, when people join in with the action. So yeah, let's run through just a little bit more. The right flank is about to open up here, so let's see what happens. We've got our 6. Reshuffle the deck, ready to go. We've got our 6 French cards here, and let's go with this card here. 3 on the right, and let's see, what is the range? Again, this is how long it's been. I don't remember the range of this stuff. 2 X's, alright. 1, 2, so we will have to move in battle, it looks like. 3 on the right, okay, so that means we're going to stop with the strategic movement allowance here. And roads no longer offer any major benefit. So 2 hex range, 1, 2, 1, 2. We have a guy with folks in range there. That is regular line infantry, moving range fire, full strength. Well, that's another thing I need to consider. That's not 2 stands, that's actually 4, even though physically it is 2 stands. A way to represent 4 strength, so there's something else. Alright, 2 dice. Looking for, and that is another thing. Since I use normal dice, I'm gonna pause this. Since I use normal dice, and it's been about over 3 months actually. I don't even remember what these numbers represent. So what did we get? We got a 3 and a 1. We need 3s. We did get a 3. Why do we need that? Because we're battling cavalry here. And that's what we need to do anything to those guys. So cavalry, what is the strength of Russian light cavalry? Is 4 blocks. Well, they lost one of them, so now they're down to 3. And I think what I'll do is use these good old OCS counters, which never cease to come in handy, and place thusly minus the here, and go from there. Now let's do it that way so we can still see the number and the count as well. So there. 2, he's down to 3. All right. That was the French. All right, let's see what the Russians can do. They should have something on the left. The left is what's happening first, obviously. And they have nothing on the left. Let's consolidate the center a little more with this card. 3 can activate in the center. Let's go with 1, 2, still in the center, 3. Nice little line there. French again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Need to draw another card. 6, should be 6. 2 on the left, 3 in the center. And 1 on the right. Let's do the 1 on the right only because that is now active. And draw another card. 1 on the right. Now what are we going to do with the 1 on the right? It's going to be this guy here, yes? And same deal, 2 dice, moving range fire, looking for 3s. We got nothing, so he's done. That goes back to the Russians. Russians, there's your left, 3 on the left. Let's see if we can get some of this infantry, Russian infantry rolling. 3 on the left, we've got 1, 2, 3, another beautiful. Look at that. You have to admire this. Another beautiful defensive line on the left flank here, with the woods to their exposed, would be an exposed flank. Cavalry on the right. There's a gap here. I'm not too concerned about that at the moment, but I'm liking that left defensive line there. All right, nobody in range, but that's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to the French. Let's go with the two on the left. And I said I killed new strategic movement, so that's only one now. So we'll go with that. God, these roads are just like funnels to death for the French. 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to the Russians. I think we have. No, we don't. But we have a 3 on the right, attack right flank, I should say, which allows us to activate 3 units on the right. So 1, 2. Let's move this guy up. 3. And back to the French. We have 3 on the left flank, 3 in the center, another 3 in the center, more center. I'm liking the 3 on the left. I just dropped a card. 3 on the left. Let's do 3 on the left. Let's bring some of these. This isn't fun for you guys, but we need to bring some of these guys up. So 1, 2, 3. Alright. Back to the Russians. Also, what I'll do after I stop filming here is do a little more maneuvering on the left and center, especially before we come back and do anything live. 5 Russians. We've got 2 on the right that can activate. I'll take it. 2 on the right. So 1. Bring him up some more. 2. Back to the French. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 in the center. Let's go ahead and use one of these 3 in the center cards just to get rid of it. 3 in the center, that means 1, 2. Heavy cavalry can move to 1, 2, so that's 2. And 1, 2, 3 on this leader here. And that brings us back to the Russians. 3, 4, 5. We've got a 3 on the left. Let's see what that means for the French. 3 on the left means right here, so yes. 2. Move him up 1. We have unit within range there. We have this guy moving range fire into here, and that's going to be. That is Russian. That is Russian. Russian what? Guard Grenadiers, so moving range fire on those doodads is 3 dice. We'll roll 3 dice, I'm not scared. 3 dice. 6 doesn't do us any good, nor do 3, so nothing doing there. Back to the French. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like we're going to be doing the 3 up the center again. 1, 2, that's 1, 1, 2, that's 2. 1, 2, 3 is 3, and then back to the Russians. 3, 4, 5. Let's do 2 on the right for the Russians. Move him up again, that's 1. And 2. Back to the French, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's a fun card. I love these cards. Alright, 2 on the left, 2 in the center, 2 on the right. Let's do the center first. So 1, 2, 3. Leapfrog, 1, 2, 3. That was our 2 in the center, 2 on the left. Maybe 1 and 1. And 2 on the right. We have 2 units within range, and this is going to be our first standing range fire of the game. Can you even believe it? We're going to loose these guys on that cavalry unit there. That is regular line infantry, so it's going to be 4 dice. Needing 3s, we got 2 hits on that cavalry unit. And let's go ahead and whoop up again this unit on this cavalry unit. So 4 dice as well. They already took 1 hit. Give me 3s. I got another 3. So he's down to 2. And what? So half strength. 2 half strength light cavalry units for the Russians. Again, probably ill-advised use of the cavalry here, or lack of use at all on the Russians' part. Might have served them better to do something rather than sit there and be fired at. What are we doing now? Russians, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got Russians. What do the Russians say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's look at other things here. Okay. There we go, the Grand Maneuver. Issue an order to 4 or fewer units. Ordered units may make a strategic move up to 4 hexes. An infantry unit in square. Okay. 4 hexes, I like it. I need it. Let's do it. Any 4 units? Issue an order to 4 or fewer. Yeah, okay. 4 units. And 4 hexes. I'm going this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. How about that, do you think? Nicely done, French. We have cavalry charge, assault center, bayonet charge, force march. Here we go, force march. French are going to force march on the left. Issue an order to all infantry units in one section. And we can do 2 hexes here, so 2 hexes and not battle, that is. So 1, 2, 1, 2. It's all infantry here. 1, 2 in the section. 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, and this was desperately needed. 1, 2. There's our infantry. Okay, that's awesome. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Another short supply. Short supply allows you to annoy the other player by grabbing one of his units and sticking it on the baseline. So I'm going to take this one and stick it. This has happened once already when I paused the camera, and now it's happened again. In fact, I placed the same unit last time there. So that's just annoying because now he's got to work his way all the way back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it doesn't represent him literally moving back this way. It represents an abstract representation of stragglers, I guess. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, here's another fun card. 6 units on the left can move. So 1. Now he will get moving ranged fire. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Moving range fire here is going to be 2 dice, I believe. Yeah, 2 dice. But now we want 1s, 2s, or 5s. We got a 6 and a 5, so 5 is a flag. And on this Russian line infantry, they cannot... Yep, they can ignore 1 flag. How about that? Well, good for them. So they stay put. And 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do, Russians got 3 in the center. Don't know how much further I want to move this center line forward. But 1, 2... God, all this artillery should already be set up. 3. Both sides, what a mess. Artillery should not be so far behind. That's a mess. Complete mess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. French. 3 on the right. It is 3 on the right. We go 1. Fire, fire. Standing range fire again at the same cavalry units that for whatever reason are just sitting there. Needing 3s. We get 3s, and now he's down to 1. And the other guy, what does he get? He's down to 1 as well. So whittling away at these 2 units. Alright. Let's timestamp 31. We're going to stop soon here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right after this Russian turn, in fact. Interesting card too. 2 on the left, 2 on the right. Let's do the 2 on the right. 1. 1. That's 2 on the right. Take that back. Keep him there. We're going to fire with this guy. So that's Russian line infantry. 4 dice. And he has, wow, okay, fair enough. 3 hits. Pared him down, right down to 1. Well, you should be proud of yourself. This guy here is going to fire. Is he, yeah, that's that guard stuff. Guard grenadier, so 5 dice coming at you. 2 flags. What do the French have here? For line infantry ignoring flags, nothing. So he has to pull back 1, 2. And the other second unit is going to move up 1 and conduct moving range fire here. That will be 3 dice. So 3 dice. And that's 1 hit on him. He's down to 3. And that's where we're at. I think we're going to cut it there for tonight. Again, my intention is to come back with this live. This wasn't planned ahead, as I stated. This was kind of an accidental, random thing that happened. But it felt right, so I just kept going with it, and it still feels right. So maybe that 3-month hiatus did me good. Alright, guys. If you have any comments, please let me know. Do you like what you see? Are you happy to see this stuff again? Would you rather see more of the other? What's your thoughts on all of this? I'd be interested to hear. Hope everybody's doing well. And stay safe.